Hello driver and welcome to the training center. Today you are going to learn some basics of operating the Czech Class 750 locomotive. Open the doors to the electric compartment and switch on the batteries handle to get some electric power. Insert the reverser and move it forwards to the engine-only position. The engine can only be started in one of the two engine-only positions. Hold the green start button until the engine starts and revs up to 480 RPM. You can speed up the compressor by increasing engine RPM if you have the reverser in the engine-only position. Wait until the brake pipe is filled and the brakes release. We have a bit of time to say some basic things about how to drive this locomotive. You need to monitor the ammeter when driving. Try not to exceed the red mark starting at 2400 A. You can temporarily overload the locomotive, but doing so for prolonged periods of time could lead to damage. You should start by first setting the regulator to first notch and waiting until you see some current on the ammeter. Then, you can start to increase the power. Wait until the brakes are released and try that for yourself. Similar things apply when lowering the power to neutral. Wait on the first notch until the traction current drops down, and then move the regulator to the neutral position.
Good job! You have learned some new things.
Welcome to another Class 750 tutorial. Today we will learn some basic banking operations. Start by inserting the reverser and setting it to the forward position. There are a few audible signals used for banking operations in Czechia. These can either be honks of the horn or blasts on the whistle. The most important is 3 short signals which tell the banking locomotives to stop applying any power. Another way to tell the banking engine to stop applying power is to use 1 short signal. For simulation purposes, short signal is any audible signal shorter than half a second. There are 2 ways how to tell the banking engines how to apply power. First one is 1 long and 1 short signals, which tells the engines to apply half power. Second is 1 long and 2 short signals, which tells the engines to apply maximum available power. The banking engines know about track speed restrictions, so in most cases, you shouldn't have to worry about them pushing the train to greater speeds than allowed. However, it is good practice to tell them to stop applying power before you start to brake. Don't worry if you get any of the signals wrong. You can just wait a few seconds and then try that signal again. Now tell the engines to apply full power, 1 long and 2 short signals. You can use both horns and the whistle. Do not apply any power yourself yet, so you can see their effect. Don't forget to tell the banking engines to stop banking by either 1 short or 3 short signals before braking.
Good job! You have learned some new things today.
Hello, driver. Welcome to the training center. Today we will explore the Class 750 locomotive, and you will get to know some new and interesting things about it. Start by approaching the locomotive. Begin our walk around by checking the exterior of the locomotive. Check that the buffers aren't pushed inside. Continue by looking under the locomotive and checking that nothing is hanging from the bogies. Also check that the drainage valves are closed and the fuel caps aren't missing.
Great. Now that we have checked and everything is all right, you can board the locomotive. Then proceed into the engine room. Here you can see cooling towers. Those on the left are responsible for the cooling of the oil circuit. Those on the right then cool down the engine cooling water. Check that we have enough cooling water. Pull out the oil stick from the engine and check how much oil there is. This is the safety system box. This locomotive is equipped with an LVZ safety system, which is responsible for checking drivers' vigilance and also displays signal code. The latter applies only on routes that are equipped with said system. When you start the safety system, make sure that you have applied the direct brake, put mode switch into the start position, and wait for the white light to be lit. Then, put the switch into the active position. If you need to change cabs, use the switch above and select 1 or 2 as needed. If you want to shut it down, move the mode switch to the banking position. As in, the off position, the air valve won't be powered and you will lose all brake pipe pressure. Now, check that we have enough oil in the compressor. Here you can see the LTR brake distributor. Most of the older Czech locomotives are equipped with this. You can select the brake mode here, disable air braking on the locomotive, and also empty the control reservoir. The yellow box with the valve is the safety system valve. If the safety system or radio aren't powered, air will leak through this valve. If you need to stop it and can't turn on any of those, then close the valve. As you can see, the valve is now closed. That is because you should start this locomotive with both the radio and safety system turned off, as the voltage spikes could damage them. You will learn how to activate those in a minute. Below you can see 2 red valves. Those valves close air pipes to the front and back bogie respectively. If you close them, then the bogies won't apply any braking force. Now proceed into the front cabin and open both doors to the electric cabinet. Here you see battery voltage and ampere meters. The battery should typically have around 110 volts. If the voltage is too low, the engine then may not start. Those 4 switches toggle each traction engine. Be careful and don't operate those if the traction engines are under any power. Here we see 3 switches. The leftmost one is disconnected. The middle one controls the operating mode. If you need to control another locomotive in double traction, put it in the double position.
The last switch turns power regulation on or off. The locomotive won't apply any power if that switch is in the off position. The breakers can trip the power to some components on this locomotive. As we've discussed previously, the two most important ones are the J15 VZ and RDST breakers. The J15 powers the LVZ safety system, and RDST powers the radio. If any of those breakers are tripped, you need to close the yellow valve in the engine room. Now look at the relays. The first important set are relays RCB, RD, and RE. Those three relays control which power notch the locomotive will use. Older Czech locomotives used binary or gray codes to control the power. The second set of relays are relays RS1, RS2, and RS3. Those are the wheel slip relays. Regulation checks the voltage difference between traction engines, and if any of those are big enough, it will trip said relay. The locomotive would then automatically lower power until the wheel slip stops. The last important relay is the RP. This relay controls field diversion, which happens at around 60 kilometers per hour. But it is decided by generator voltage and current, so it can also happen at higher speeds if you have lower notches selected. Lastly, here are the schematics of the most important electric systems of this locomotive. Below, you can also see traction characteristics and Koreff's diagram of the Class 750. Now, close the doors and sit in driver's seat.